Okay, so men's 100, there's a lot to learn from this race. And I don't want to blow it out of proportion because it's a post-Olympics race. But when you look at the people entered in this race, and I'll just go and highlight a few. So you have Bromell, who's entered in this race, came in as the Olympic favorite, went out in the semis in Tokyo. I want to see what he has. Was Tokyo just an aberration? Is he going to get back into the 9.8s and 9.7s? He obviously ran great in Eugene at the trials. Don't know. DeGrasse, gold in the 200. He was bronze in the 100, always solid. Curly, another opportunity for him in the 100, ran 9.8 mid, Olympic silver medalist. He could win this race, obviously, I mean, he doesn't even need to have an overperformance, really. That's how good Fred Curly is in the 100. And then you go to Michael Norman. And you can make the case that Michael Norman's best race since early track season in 2019 was his 100 that he ran at AP Ranch in 2020 when he ran the 986. Like you could make that argument. There's also a situation here where what if Michael Norman does that again and beats this field? His teammate, Ry Benjamin, very confident in him. He's not shying away. He says that he has a hot take that Michael Norman can break the world record in the 100. So that tells me at least that Michael Norman's loose. Like he's not overly worried about this because his friend and training partner is posting things like that online. Gordon, are there going to be any 400-meter runners left? Is my question. Like what's going to happen if Michael Norman does run a 9.8 in this race and gets, say, Curly runs 9.84, Michael Norman runs 9.87? What do we do with that?
Well, we need this to happen though, because let's be honest, when you have the mixed 4x4 and alternates, we need to start pulling away from all the 400-meter runners and start putting them in the 100 and the 200. You could argue then, I mean, I'm sure Noah Lyles would never want to do it, but Noah Lyles could probably run a fast 400, so can Grant Holloway. So maybe we do some trades. We take some of the quarter guys and we put them all in the hundreds and the short sprints, and then take Noah Lyles and Grant Holloway and put them in the 400s. No, I'm just kidding.
Switch it all up.
But yeah, it's gonna be wild. It'll be interesting to see what Norman does because he's able to show whether that 986 was like an aberration or the norm. We don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
I am excited that he's doing it because it shows that he's still thinking about these shorter sprints, right? He's still thinking about the 200 probably and the 100. We show this, comparing him to Tyson Gay, Van Niekerk, and Michael Johnson and Usain Bolt. Eventually, Fred Curley's going to be on this list. We just need Fred Curley to run a fast 200, and then it's going to be wild. Because, Michael Norman has run 19.7 in the 200, which is a super elite time. Once Fred Curley figures out the turn and he has his 200 down, Fred Curley is going to be number one on that list.
Well, and Norman's already figured out the turn. He just hasn't run the race a ton because he stuck to the 400, which would make sense because he ran 43.45 in April as a season opener in 2019. Of course you'd stick with the 400. Who do you think stands the most to gain from this race? Because we talked last week, the biggest races we wanted to see remaining, and we just said we wanted to see anything with Bromell and Norman because those were the two that we were still scratching our head about after the Olympics, trying to figure out what went wrong for them. And now we get them both in the same race, not at the distance I would have expected for Norman. But who do you think, when you look at this whole roster, has the most to gain from this pre-classic men's 100?
I mean, the people who have the most to gain are the non-medalists, right? So I would say Curly and DeGrasse are kind of like, there's nothing for them to prove, right? They already proved that they are top tier in the short sprints.
Mm-hmm.
Gatlin doesn't really have anything to prove because he's on the way out, right? What if Gatlin runs fast? Is he all of a sudden say, I'm coming back in 2022? I think he already said this was his last year. Maybe he comes out and runs 9.8 and he's like, hey, I'm doing 2022, which would be great. Be wild. Gillespie might have something to prove because he was the anchor for the 4x1 and people kind of blamed him for not being able to close on a few guys. So if he comes out and runs 9.8, then people will be like, oh, Gillespie, a pretty, Baker, I don't think has anything to prove. He just had a bat. He's already run a fast time. He won the Monaco meet. Him winning or losing this meet doesn't really mean much. Bromell has, I think, something to prove to show that he's behind his injury. The injury's behind him. Because
you keep talking about the injury. What do we know? You keep saying he was injured. We have no evidence that he was injured. Did you ask
I think he's dealing with an ankle. Yeah. There's been reports he's been dealing with an ankle. Yeah.
Okay. I never saw it.
Okay. Well, that's what I heard.
An ankle?
Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's been doing something, and we saw it started up in the Monaco meet.
I didn't see any quotes from him that said that. I could have missed something. Okay. Someone will remind me if I did. But he ran the 4x1.
Yeah, but he wasn't like injured where he's running 10-1. He could still at least run a 4x1. So I think the most to prove, I guess, is Bromell. Like you said, Bromell and Norman. We're going full circle to prove those are two. Because Norman is, he doesn't have an individual medal from the Olympics, so he can come out here and win this race and beat multiple medalists. Beat Curley, beat DeGrasse. That looks good. It's like, whoa, okay. Maybe that's like a big bullet point on your 2021 resume would be this win. It's just that Curley and DeGrasse don't need to update the resume. The resume is pretty good as of right now. So
fair. I do like that world that you created in the beginning where everybody just switches events before the next championship. It's Curley in the 100. It's Norman in the 200, and I guess you bump Lyles up to the 400 or all the way up to the 400. Who would have? I mean, if we have a 100 team next year in the U.S. with Norman and Curley on it, that would just be, again, the 400 as an event would be, guys, what are we doing?
Guys, what about?
I'm right over here. Us? What about me? What about me? It's hard enough to get people to run me. And now everybody's leaving. The people that were really good, you're all gone. Yeah. The one person I would like to see added, or if someone scratches, I hope Marvin Bracey's on standby after his 985.
Yeah. That would be cool. Do you want to talk a little bit about